Lesson 92. The two types of auxiliary verb. Primary. Modal. What are the two basic types of auxiliary verb in English?
The two basic types of auxiliary verb in English are primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries.
What are the primary auxiliaries?
The primary auxiliaries are the verbs be, have, and do.
When do we use the auxiliary be?
We use the auxiliary be to make the continuous tenses and the passive voice.
Give me an example, please.
I am speaking English now. This book was printed in England.
When do we use the auxiliary have?
We use the auxiliary have for the perfect tenses.
Give me an example, please.
He has gone to Scotland.
When do we use the auxiliary do?
We use the auxiliary do for the present simple and past simple.
Give me an example, please.
I don't speak Spanish. Did she eat the pasta?
What are the 10 common modals?
The 10 common modals are can, could, will, would, may, might, shall, should, must, and ought.
What ideas do modals normally express?
Modals normally express ideas about necessity or possibility.
Now, I will give you a sentence, and you say a sentence with the same meaning, but with a modal. John is able to speak French.
John can speak French.
Perhaps he works in a bank.
He may, or might, work in a bank.
It is necessary for me to go to bed now.
I must go to bed now.
You are not allowed to smoke in this building.
You can't, or mustn't, smoke in this building.
What do we put after a modal?
We put the infinitive without to after a modal.
Give me an example, please.
I must send this email today.
Which modal is the only exception to this rule?
Ought is the only exception to this rule.
Give me an example, please.
I ought to see a doctor.
Set. What does the word set mean?
The word set means...
How long is the time set for a game of football?
The time set for a game of football is 90 minutes. That is 45 minutes each way.
What kind of life do you think is better? A life where you have a set time for doing everything, such as eating, sleeping, etc., or a life where you do these things whenever you want?
I think a life where you have a set time for doing everything, such as eating, sleeping, etc., is better than a life where you do these things whenever you want.
What did I set down on the table when I came into the room at the beginning of the lesson?
You set your book down on the table when you came into the room at the beginning of the lesson.
If your watch isn't showing the right time, what do you have to do?
If my watch isn't showing the right time, I have to set it right.
Sunrise. Sunset. What time is sunrise at the moment?
Sunrise is at about 7 a.m. at the moment.
And what time is sunset?
Sunset is at about 6 p.m.
Duty. Society. On duty. Off duty. Driver. Fine. What do you consider to be the duty a person owes to the society in which they live?
I consider that the duty a person owes to the society in which they live is to be honest, hard-working, etc.
What are the duties of a policeman?
The duties of a policeman are to give people help and information, catch criminals, etc.
Do policemen wear their uniforms when they're off duty?
No, policemen don't wear their uniforms when they're off duty. They only wear them when they're on duty.
If you brought a foreign car into this country, would you have to pay duty on it?
Yes, if I brought a foreign car into this country, I'd have to pay duty on it.
And if you didn't pay, what'd happen?
If I didn't pay, they might make me pay a fine and even take the car away from me.
Various. What are the various ways of learning a language?
The various ways of learning a language are at school with a teacher, going to the country where the language is spoken, practicing with a friend, listening to the radio, watching TV, etc.
Entertainment. Is there much entertainment for teenagers in your hometown?
Yes, there is a lot of entertainment for teenagers in my hometown.
Weight. Equal. Is the weight of these two chairs about equal?
Yes, the weight of these two chairs is about equal.
Operate. Operation. Would you find it interesting to operate a factory machine?
No, I wouldn't find it interesting to operate a factory machine.
Why not?
Because you do the same thing again and again.
Have you ever had an operation in hospital?
Yes, I've had an operation in hospital.
Lesson 93. By. By the time. Give me a sentence containing the words by the time.
By the time she gets here, dinner will be ready.
What does by the time mean in that sentence?
By the time in that sentence means at some point between now and when she gets here.
By the time you are 90 years old, do you suppose your hair will be grey?
Yes, by the time I'm 90 years old, I suppose my hair will be grey.
Will your English have improved by this time next month?
Yes, my English will have improved by this time next month.
As well as. Can you speak English as well as you speak your own language?
No, I can't speak English as well as I speak my own language. I speak it worse than my own language.
Do you take English lessons on Sunday as well as during the week?
No, I don't take English lessons on Sunday as well as during the week.
What does that last question mean, in other words?
That last question means you take English lessons during the week, but do you also take English lessons on Sunday?
Elder. Eldest. What's the difference between the words older and elder?
The difference between the words older and elder is that we generally use the word elder when speaking about people in the same family, and we cannot say elder than.
Have you got an elder brother?
No, I haven't got an elder brother.
Are you the eldest in your family?
No, I'm not the eldest in my family.
Who is?
My grandfather is the eldest in my family.
Let. Rent. Advertise. In exchange for. What's the difference between to let and to rent?
The difference between to let and to rent is that to let means to lend something in exchange for money, whereas to rent means to borrow something in exchange for money.
Supposing you had a house or a flat to let, how would you advertise it?
Supposing I had a house or a flat to let, I'd advertise it in the newspaper or on the internet.
What's the average monthly rent for a small flat in this town?
The average monthly rent for a small flat in this town is about £1,000.
How much does it cost to rent a car for one day in this town?
It costs about £40 to rent a car for one day in this town.
Do you ever rent DVDs to watch at home?
Yes, I sometimes rent DVDs to watch at home.
Is it common in your country for people to rent out rooms in their house to students, for example?
Yes, it's common in my country for people to rent out rooms in their house to students.
Fallen. What are the three forms of fall?
The three forms of fall are fall, fell, fallen.
Have you ever fallen out of bed in the middle of the night?
Yes, I've fallen out of bed in the middle of the night.
Chose. What's the past of the verb to choose?
The past of the verb to choose is chose.
Did you choose the clothes you're wearing yourself?
Yes, I chose the clothes I'm wearing myself.
Such a. Why do you suppose football is such a popular game?
I suppose football is such a popular game because it's enjoyable to play and to watch.
Why is a desert such a difficult place to live in?
A desert is such a difficult place to live in because there's so little water.
Provide. Providing. Provided. Ghost. Is a soldier's uniform provided for him by the government?
Yes, a soldier's uniform is provided for him by the government.
How do parents provide for their children?
Parents provide for their children by making sure they have all the things they need in life.
If you had just bought a house and then someone told you that there was a ghost in it, what would you do? Providing, of course, you believed in ghosts.
If I had just bought a house and then someone told me there was a ghost in it, I'd sell it, providing I believed in ghosts.
Straight. Are you going to go straight home after the lesson?
Yes, I'm going to go straight home after the lesson.
If you came to some crossroads while driving a car and, instead of stopping, you kept straight on, what might happen?
If I came to some crossroads while driving a car and instead of stopping I kept straight on, an accident might happen.
Consist. How many days does a fortnight consist of?
A fortnight consists of 14 days.
Place. Why do we have to place an egg carefully on the table?
We have to place an egg carefully on the table because it could easily break.
Commence. Academic. In which month does the academic year commence in your country?
The academic year commences in September in my country.
Colony.